Bahamas, Utah, a marriage that projected stability would later stand at the center of a methodical homicide case. Eric and Kouri Richins married in 2013, raising 3 sons amid apparent prosperity from his masonry business and her real estate ventures. By March 2026, a jury would weigh finances, testimony, and a digital paper trail to determine what happened inside their home. In the early hours of March 4th, 2022, Kouri Richins called 911, reporting that her 39-year-old husband was cold to the touch after an evening she said involved celebrating her closing on a $3.9 million unfinished mansion in Midway and serving him a Moscow Mule. First responders pronounced Eric dead at the scene. An initial suspicion of natural causes yielded to an autopsy finding of an illicit, orally ingested fentanyl overdose at approximately 5 times a lethal dose. Exactly 1 year later, Kouri self-published a children's book titled Are You With Me? And promoted it on local television as a grieving widow. In May 2023, she was arrested and charged with Eric's murder. Prosecutors presented evidence that by late 2021, Kouri's house-flipping business was failing. Her accounts were overdrawn by hundreds of thousands of dollars, and on the day Eric died, her net worth stood at negative $1.6 million. Investigators alleged she misappropriated at least $100,000 from Eric's bank accounts, charged $30,000 on his credit cards, diverted money intended for his business taxes, and secretly opened a $250,000 home equity line of credit by forging his signature. They further reported that she obtained at least 6 life insurance policies on Eric, totaling nearly $2 million in benefits. A prenuptial agreement protected Eric's business in a divorce, but provided that Kouri would inherit the business if he died while they remained married. After discovering theft in late 2020, Eric consulted a divorce attorney and an estate planner, removed Kouri from his will, and transferred his estate to the Eric Richins Living Trust under his sister Katie for the benefit of his sons. Text messages showed Kouri was having an affair with Robert Josh Grossman, discussed leaving Eric and collecting millions in a divorce, and shortly after Eric's death, asked Grossman whether he had ever killed anyone during his military service. The family's occasional housekeeper, Carmen Lauber, testified that between December 2021 and March 2022, Kouri repeatedly asked her to obtain painkillers for an investor, later requesting fentanyl as some of the Michael Jackson stuff, which Lauber said she sourced through Robert Crozier. Prosecutors highlighted a February 14, 2022 incident in which Kouri delivered Eric a sandwich with a love note, after which he broke out in hives, struggled to breathe, used his son's EpiPen, took Benadryl, and told a friend, "I think my wife is trying to poison me." On March 3, 2022, Kouri served Eric the Moscow Mule that prosecutors said was laced with fentanyl, while digital forensics indicated her phone was unlocked, active, and used to send and delete messages during the period Eric was dying. A second iPhone found in Kouri's bedside drawer contained searches including, "What is a lethal dose of fentanyl? Can cops uncover deleted messages iPhone? If someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the death certificate as?" And "Luxury prisons for the rich in America," along with queries about life insurance payout timing when a death certificate is pending. Investigators also documented that the day after Eric's death, Kouri hosted a party to celebrate the Midway Mansion closing, and 2 days later, hired a locksmith to drill into Eric's safe, culminating in a physical confrontation with his sister Amy when the revised estate plan became clear. Records showed she paid a ghostwriter $2,500 for her children's book and calculated a $5.35 profit per Amazon sale, and jail staff intercepted her 6-page walk the dog letter instructing her mother to induce false testimony that Eric procured fentanyl in Mexico and used it nightly. At the 2026 trial, the defense argued the investigation was biased and sloppy, suggested Eric was a closeted drug user who overdosed, and claimed the incriminating searches were made after his death. The defense rested without calling any witnesses, and Kouri waived her right to testify. On March 16, 2026, after roughly 3 hours of deliberation, the jury found Kouri Richins guilty on all counts, including aggravated murder, attempted murder, forgery, and insurance fraud. She faces 25 years to life and is scheduled for sentencing on May 13, 2026, which would have been Eric's 44th birthday. Under Utah's Slayer statute, she is barred from inheriting from Eric, and Eric's family was granted custody of the couple's 3 sons. Carmen Lauber received immunity from Summit County, Salt Lake County, Wasatch County, and federal authorities, including protection from a federal distribution resulting in death charge, protection from new Wasatch County firearm, and marijuana charges tied to her probation status, requirements for full and truthful testimony, release from drug court and testing obligations after serving 23 days in jail, transfer of probation to Summit County, and permission to relocate to Las Vegas. The facade of domestic success gave way to a ledger of debts, signatures, and messages that refused to stay buried. In the end, digital searches and financial seams formed a narrative more durable than performance or alibi. In a quiet town, the most troubling question is not how the story ended, but when its first careful line was written. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this, and drop a like if you want to support the channel.